Let's connect with our chartists, Dr. C.K. Narayan and Kunal Bothra joining in. Dr. Narayan, quite a U-turn in terms of what the globe seems to be indicating for our own markets after a mild close in the red. What's your expectation for the index today, and what would be your top recommendations by way of stock ideas?
Good morning, Aman. Good morning, everybody. Well, I think the market is definitely caught in some bit of volatility, but the Nifty is still being showed up by actions of some of the heavyweights. That is probably why we didn't follow the US markets down the way they fell, particularly in the technology area. Nasdaq was down big time, but our IT index is actually trading up and is seemingly doing well. So there is a little bit of divergence in the behavior of our tech pack compared to what's happening in the Nasdaq. Aside from that, Reliance staying up and doing rather well for itself under the fresh news flow about deals in the Reliance retail space. That I think that's also shoring up the Nifty. So we are having a slightly different moment compared to the overseas market. Now, other than the overseas feed, there isn't exactly any local news which seems to be tilting the the direction in any way. So we'll have to I think continue in that particular vein for today, tomorrow as well, and I do believe that stock specific action will dominate. What is visible is that the Bank Nifty is not yet performing, and we are all waiting for that to join up the party, because once financials also start moving better, the sentiment changes almost immediately. Half of that job was done by pharmaceuticals going up yesterday, so that enlivens sentiment a bit. Now, if financials were to pull their act together, that might happen. So perhaps yesterday's let's say option data saying that the FIs could have shorted the 21,800, 22,000 puts in Bank Nifty. That might create a support zone beneath and then lead to some more gains here. If it happens, then it should be a pretty decent outing. Now, with that as a background, I would want to recommend a couple of buys here for the morning. First up is Aurobindo Pharma to play the upside in the pharma space. I think very decent support has got built over the last 2 months at around 775. Stock tapped down into that and rallied up once again. Now slightly above 800 levels, can buy with a stop at about 790 or 785 region, and then look for a target all the way till about 820.25 for the day and 840 for multi-days. The second buy would be from the banking space. IndusInd Bank is what I am recommending. I think that went against the grain of the banking space yesterday, notching up small gains. Now the arithmetic on IndusInd Bank chart seems to be pretty simple. It was made a base about 500 levels in end of August, went up to 700 levels, now has retreated to about 600 levels. So a nice 50% retracement of the gains, and I think demand coming in there should be a positive. Looks good enough to reach 625, 630. Buy with a stop at 600.
Okay, watch out for some of those stocks, Aurobindo Pharma as well as IndusInd Bank getting a thumbs up. Kunal, meantime, are you penciling in some bout of consolidation for the equity markets, or do you think we'll piggyback on what the globe is throwing up? And you've got a buy and a sell recommendation.
So yes, good morning, Avan. I believe that the indices are still, or Nifty is still trading in a range, 11,300 plus or minus 100 points, 100, 150 points is where we've been caught up in the range for the Nifty. So no decisive cues on the indices as such. The texture for the next couple of days, because you have mixed cues and mixed signals from the market internals as well. So 2 days back we were discussing that how the Nifty IT index would probably show some degree of outperformance. You add to that Reliance Industries also, which did exceptionally well yesterday. So I think in that regards you have those one-odd sectors and one-odd stocks which tends to support the market moves almost every now and then. I think that's one of the reasons why I believe the Nifty is not able to find any decisive kind of a trend. You look at the underperformance of the Bank Nifty. I think that's the only spot of bother, because as Jayesh was also mentioned that in the last 10 days the Bank Nifty has underperformed Nifty, which I believe is a very important signal to take note of. So you can expect on the one hand that the short covering move could happen, but if it doesn't happen, then the Bank Nifty could continue to underperform. So I think that's where I believe that the market texture could probably get bent towards, and which is why I believe it's very important to be stock specific. So hence I'm suggesting one buy and one sell. The first one is a buy on NTPC. I think this stock is forming some sort of an oversold kind of a bottom on the hourly charts. I think in the last 14 trading sessions, 13 or 14 trading sessions, the stock has had almost except for one trading session, all of these sessions the stock had a lower high and lower low kind of a pattern. So the indicators have gone back into an oversold territory for the stock, and I would sense that that could result into a decent bounce on NTPC. So buy on NTPC, more of a contra call. Targets to be kept at 94-95 range, and stop loss could be kept at 87 mark. And the second would be a sell, and it would be a sell on Axis Bank. Now the stock finally managed to break below its 50-day moving average. Not just that, if you look at the price patterns as well, Axis Bank has broken its swing lows as well on the daily chart. So I think on the back of both these key short-term reversals, I would expect some bit of more correction into this stock. Hence a sell with a target of 420 and stop loss at 439.